Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 29. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th of the month, the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, turn your face against Pharaoh, the sovereign of Mitsrayim, and Navah against him, and against Mitsrayim, all of it. Speak, and you shall say, Thus said the Adon Yahuah. See, I am against you, O Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitsrayim, O great dragon who lies in the midst of his rivers, who has said, My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. And I shall put hooks in your jaws, and I shall make the fish of your rivers cling to your scales. And I shall bring you up out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish in your rivers cling to your scales. And I shall leave you in the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers. On the face of the land you shall fall, and you shall not be picked up or gathered. I shall give you as food to the beasts of the field, and to the birds of the Shemayim. And all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim shall know that I am Yahuah, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Yisrael. When they grasped you with the hand, you broke and tore all their shoulders. When they leaned on you, you broke and made all their loins shake. Therefore, thus said the Adon Yahuah, See, I am bringing a sword upon you, and shall cut off from you man and beast. And the land of Mitzrayim shall become a desert and a waste, and they shall know that I am Yahuah, because he said, The river is mine, and I have made it. Therefore, see, I am against you in all your rivers, and shall make the land of Mitzrayim an utter waste and a desert, from Migdol to Seweneh, as far as the border of Cush. No foot of man shall pass through it, nor foot of beast pass through it, neither shall it be inhabited for 40 years. And I shall make the land of Mitzrayim a desert in the midst of the lands that are waste, and among the cities that are ruined her cities shall be a waste 40 years. And I shall scatter the Mitzrites among the nations, and I shall disperse them throughout the lands. For thus said the Adon Yahuah, At the end of 40 years I shall gather the Mitzrites from the peoples among whom they were scattered, and I shall turn back the captivity of Mitzrayim, and I shall bring them back to the land of Pathros, to the land of their birth, and there they shall be a lowly reign, being the lowliest of reigns, and never again exalt itself above the nations. And I shall make them few, so as not to rule over the nations. And no longer is it to be the refuge of the house of Yisrael, bringing to remembrance their wickedness when they turn to follow them. And they shall know that I am the Adon Yahuah. And it came to be in the 27th year, in the 1st month, on the 1st of the month, that the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, made his army to serve a great service against Zor. Every head was made bald, and every shoulder worn bare. But he and his army received no reward from Zor for the service he served against it. Therefore thus said the Adon Yahuah, See, I am giving the land of Mitzrayim to Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, and he shall take away her wealth, take her spoil, and remove her pillage, and it shall be a reward for his army. I have given him the land of Mitzrayim as a reward for his labor, because they worked for me, declares the Adon Yahuah. In that day I shall make the horn of the house of Yisrael to spring forth, while I open your mouth to speak in their midst, and they shall know that I am Yahuah. Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 30. And the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, Navah and say, Thus said the Adon Yahuah, Howl, woe to the day, for the day is near, even the day of Yahuah is near. It is a day of clouds, the time of the nations. The sword shall come upon Mitzrayim, and great anguish shall be in Cush, when the slain fall in Mitzrayim, and they take away her wealth, and her foundations are broken down. Cush and Put and Lud, all the mixed people, and Kub, and the sons of the land of the covenant shall fall with them by the sword. Thus said Yahuah, Those who lean on Mitzrayim shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down. From Migdol to Sewene, those within her shall fall by the sword, declares the Adon Yahuah. They shall be ruined amidst the wasted lands, and her city shall be in the midst of the cities that are dried up. And they shall know that I am Yahuah, when I have lit a fire in Mitzrayim, and all her helpers are crushed. On that day, messengers shall go forth before me in ships to make the complacent Cushites afraid, and great anguish shall come upon them, as on the day of Mitzrayim. For look, it is coming. Thus said the Adon Yahuah, I shall cause the crowd of Mitzrayim to cease by the hand of Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel. He and his people with him, the ruthless ones of the nations, are brought to destroy the land, and they shall draw their swords against Mitzrayim, and shall fill the land with the slain. And I shall make the rivers dry, and I shall sell the land into the hand of evil ones, and I shall lay the land waste, and all that is in it, by the hand of foreigners. I, Yahweh, have spoken. Thus said the Adon Yahuah. And I shall destroy the idols, and make an end of the images in Noph, and there shall no longer be a prince from the land of Mitzrayim, and I shall put fear in the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall make Pathros a waste, and I shall light fire to Zoan, and I shall execute judgments in No, and I shall pour out my wrath on Sin, the stronghold of Mitzrayim, and I shall cut off the crowd of No. And I shall light a fire in Mitzrayim. Sin shall writhe in anguish. No is to be split open, and Noph has adversaries daily. The young men of Ewen and Pi Beseth shall fall by the sword, while these cities go into captivity. And in Techephenes the day shall be darkened, when I shatter the yokes of Mitzrayim there, and the pride of her strength shall cease in her. A cloud shall cover her, and her daughters shall go into captivity. And I shall execute judgments on Mitzrayim, and they shall know that I am Yahuah. And it came to be in the 11th year, in the 1st month, on the 7th of the month, that the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and see, it has not been bound up for healing, to put a bandage, to bind it, to make it strong, to hold a sword. Therefore thus said the Adon Yahuah, See, I am against Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and shall break his arms, both the strong one and the one that was broken, and shall make the sword fall out of his hand, and shall scatter the Mitzrites among the nations, and disperse them throughout the lands, and strengthen the arms of the sovereign of Babel. And I shall put my sword in his hand, and I shall break Pharaoh's arms, and he shall groan before him with the groanings of the slain before him. And I shall strengthen the arms of the sovereign of Babel, but the arms of Pharaoh shall fall, and they shall know that I am Yahuah, when I put my sword into the hand of the sovereign of Babel, and he shall stretch it out against the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall scatter the Mitzrites among the nations, and I shall disperse them throughout the lands, and they shall know that I am Yahuah. Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 31. And it came to be in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, on the 1st of the month, that the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, say to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and to his crowd, To whom are you to be compared in your greatness? See, Ashur was a cedar in Lebanon, lovely branches and forest shade, and of high stature, and its top was among the thick foliage. The waters made him great, the deep gave it height, with its rivers running around its planting, and sent their channels to all the trees of the field. Therefore its height was lifted up above all the trees of the field, and its boughs were increased, and its branches became long because of the many waters, as it sent them out. All the birds of the Shemayim made their nests in its boughs, and under its branches all the beasts of the field gave birth, and in its shadow all great nations dwelt. And it was lovely in greatness and in the length of its branches, for its roots reached to many waters. Cedars in the garden of Elohim did not hide it. Fir trees were not like its boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like its branches. No tree in the garden of Elohim was as pretty as it. I made it pretty by its many branches, so that all the trees of Eden, which were in the garden of Elohim, were jealous of it. Therefore, thus said the Adon Yahuah, because you have increased in height, and it placed its top among the thick foliage, and its heart was lifted up in its height, I give it into the hand of the mighty one of the nations, and he shall certainly deal with it. I have driven it out for its wickedness. And foreigners, the most ruthless of the nations, shall cut it down and leave it. Its branches shall fall on the mountains and in all the valleys. Its boughs lie broken by all the rivers of the land, and all the peoples of the earth shall come out from under its shadow and leave it. On its ruin shall dwell all the birds of the Shamayim, and all the beasts of the field shall be on its branches, so that none of the trees by the waters would exalt themselves because of their height, nor place their tops among the thick foliage, and that no tree which drinks water would ever be high enough to reach up to them. For all of them shall be given up to death, to the depths of the earth, among the children of men who go down to the pit. Thus said the Adon Yahuah, in the day when it is brought down to the grave, I shall cause mourning. I shall cover the deep because of it, and hold back its streams, and many waters shall be confined. And I shall make Lebanon mourn for it, and all the trees of the field shall wither away because of it. I shall make the nations shake at the sound of its fall, when I bring it down to the grave, together with those who descend into the pit. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, all that drink water, shall be comforted in the depths of the earth. They too shall go down to the grave with it, with those slain by the sword, and those who were its strength shall dwell in its shadows among the nations. To whom are you to be compared in esteem and greatness among the trees in Eden? But you shall be brought down with the trees of Eden to the depths of the earth, lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his crowd, declares the Adon Yahuah. Yehezqel, Ezekiel chapter 32. And it came to be in the 12th year, in the 12th month, on the 1st of the month, that the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitsrayim, and you shall say to him, You were like a young lion among the trees, and you are like a dragon in the seas, and you burst forth in your rivers, and trouble the waters with your feet, and muddy their rivers. Thus said the Adon Yahuah, and I shall spread my net over you with an assembly of many peoples, and they shall bring you up in my net. And I shall leave you on the land, hurl you out on the open fields, and make all the birds of the Shamayim dwell on you. And with you I shall satisfy the beasts of all the earth. And I shall put your flesh on the mountains, and fill the valleys with your height, and water the land with the flow of your blood unto the mountains, and let streams be filled with you. And when I extinguish you, I shall cover the Shamayim and make its stars dark. I shall cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of the Shamayim I shall make dark over you, and I shall bring darkness upon your land, declares the Adon Yahuah. And I shall trouble the hearts of many peoples when I bring your destruction among the nations into the lands which you have not known. And I shall make many peoples appalled at you, and their sovereign shall be greatly afraid of you when I swing my sword before them. And they shall tremble continually, every man for his own life, in the day of your fall. For thus said the Adon Yahuah, the sword of the sovereign of Babel shall come upon you. By the swords of the mighty men, all of them the ruthless ones of the nations, I shall make your host fall, and they shall ravage the arrogance of Mitsrayim, and all its hosts shall be destroyed. And I shall destroy all its beasts from beside its great waters, and let the foot of man trouble them no more, nor let the hooves of beasts trouble them. Then I shall make their waters clear, and make their rivers run like oil, declares the Adon Yahuah. when I lay the land of Mitzrayim waste, and the land shall be stripped of all that once filled it, when I have smitten all who dwell in it, then they shall know that I am Yahuah. This is the lamentation, and they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations lament her. Over Mitzrayim and over all her crowd they shall lament her, declares the Adon Yahuah. And it came to be in the 12th year, on the 15th of the month, that the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, wail over the crowd of Mitzrayim, and send them down to the depths of the earth, her and the daughters of the mighty nations, with those going down to the pit. Are you more pleasant than others? Go down, be placed with the uncircumcised. In the midst of those slain by the sword they fall. She shall be given to the sword, drawing her and all her crowds. The mightiest among the mighty speak to him out of the midst of the grave with those who help him. They have gone down. They lie with the uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Ashur is there, and all her assembly with their graves all around her, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, whose graves are made in the sides of the pit, and her assembly is all around her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, because they instilled fear in the land of the living. There is Elam and all her crowd around her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who have gone down uncircumcised to the lower parts of the earth, because they instilled fear in the land of the living, and they bear their shame with those going down to the pit. They have made her bed in the midst of the slain with all her crowd, with her graves all around it, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, for the fear they instilled in the land of the living. So they bear their shame with those going down to the pit. In the midst of the slain they have been placed. There are Meshech and Tubal and all her crowd, with all their graves around it, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, because they instilled fear in the land of the living. And they shall not lie with the mighty who are fallen of the uncircumcised, who have gone down to the grave with their battle gear, and whose swords were laid under their heads. But their wickednesses are on their bones, because of the fear of the mighty in the land of the living. And you shall be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and lie with those slain by the sword. There is Edom, her sovereigns, and all her princes, who shall be given up in their might, with those slain by the sword. With the uncircumcised they lie, and with those going down to the pit. There are the princes of the north, all of them, and all of the Zidonians, who have gone down with the slain because of the fear they instilled. They are ashamed of their might, and they lie uncircumcised with those slain by the sword, and bear their shame with those going down to the pit. Pharaoh and all his army shall see them, and he shall be comforted for all his host that were slain by the sword, declares the Adon Yahuah. For I have put a fear of him in the land of the living, yet he shall be placed in the midst of the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword, Pharaoh and all his host, declares the Adon Yahuah.